the Dublin Arsenal podcast. I'm your host, as always, Jonathan Giles. On the show this week, we'll be reviewing our 2-0 FA Cup third round defeat at home to Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool side. So sit back and enjoy the show. On the show this week, I'm joined by my regular guests. First time in a while from the UK, Carl Ozzy Osborne. How are you, pal?
Good evening. How are we doing, lads?
Good to have you back, Carl. Hope you're keeping well. I'm also joined by our Mr. Meltdown for 2024, Craig Smith. How are you, Craig?
Hello, Johnny. Glad to be back.
He got his web browser opened up in time for tonight, so hopefully a string of controversy comes out. I'm also joined by Michael D. Higgins, sidekick, Eamon Donnelly. How are you?
Evening, Jonathan. Evening, Carl. Evening, Craig. I was making the shepherd's pie there. It's got peas in it. I'm all right. I'm okay. Yeah. Obviously disappointed, but we can cover some of that, you know. I have the president actually coming in for a message in a while, so he'll give you one, you know.
I saw the entourage pass me by your window there, Eamon, so he must be just getting ready for the show. I hope everyone's having a good week so far. We'll kick on with the review from yesterday. So the Emirates FA Cup third round against Liverpool, 2-0 to Liverpool. Kiwior with the OG and Diaz got the second for Liverpool. Reece Nelson had a good chance after 3 minutes when he rounded Alisson. And if he had scored that, it could have been probably he could have started the game off really well for us. Sadly, he hit the side net. And if that was Gabriel Jesus or Gabriel Martinelli, would you take a chance better? I think probably Reece Nelson probably should have lobbed him, maybe, but you know, it was a big chance lost. Odegaard and Trent Alexander-Arnold hit the crossbar with two really good efforts in that first half as well. But I thought we were really on top, at least from the first 30 minutes. I thought we were the only team really wanting to win it in the first half. Ben White had a good shot saved by Alisson as well. In terms of Liverpool's goals, Alexander-Arnold's swing and free kick. I don't know where Ramsdale was for it. And this would probably be Ramsdale's last game, with us being out of the cups now. But I can't really put blame on Kiwior. I think it was one of them free kicks where you had to do something, you know. And sadly, he put it in the back of his own net. But it was one of those free kicks where, you know, the slightest of touch off anyone's head it was probably going to go in anyway. But I thought Ramsdale's positioning was quite poor. But I agree with Eamon when we were discussing in the WhatsApp group. Diego Jota added something different to Liverpool when he came on. I thought Ramsdale got down brilliantly before the goal. When Diaz had a shot and he turned around the post brilliantly, Jota then headed against the crossbar. But I thought it was a really good save from Ramsdale, who done very little wrong, really, I thought. In terms of the second goal, it was a quick Liverpool breakaway, and one shot I had it, he laid it off to Diaz, and he took it really well. You know, one touch out of his feet, and he buried it past Ramsdale, which again, I don't think any keeper would have saved that. But it's in terms of ourselves, it's one win in 7 matches, 3 straight defeats now, which we haven't seen much under Arteta. I think, as Eamon said on the show last Monday, I think this internet, you know, this little mini break is coming at the right time for us to reset, you know, after saying that yesterday. But with Jesus being laid off again with that knee injury, I think we will have to dip into the transfer market, you know, for a striker. Eddie Nketiah done nothing when he came on again. His body language didn't seem like he wanted to be there. I thought our reliance on Bukayo Saka, he's missing chances where he was taking them this time last season. You know, it's a performance yesterday. It's hard to round up. You know, like Liverpool were there for the taking with no Salah and Van Dijk. I thought there was only one team really wanting to win it, and that was Liverpool. I suppose I'd start with You, Ozzy, you haven't been on in quite a while. What did you make of the performance yesterday? You were at the game. I don't know if the tube strike would have been the best thing to come over, but what did you make of it?
Well, firstly, I'm going to say, I've obviously seen social media, and there's a bit of a response to this on there. But it was very different to the Fulham game. I think the first thing I'm going to say is we wanted a response after that Fulham game because that was a toothless, gutless performance at Fulham. I've got to be honest, but we got a response, and it was similar to the West Ham performance for me, as in we did everything but score for the first 80 minutes, didn't we? Really, I thought we played well. We toe to toe with Liverpool, and overall, I don't think it was that bad of a performance. However, we was made to pay for missed chances, and for me, I think it's more, in my opinion, I think I'm sort of worrying about the confidence in the team. There's there seems to be a sort of a hesitation in that final third, which is costing us. And I think, I think you can sum it up alone by looking at when Odegaard hit the bar. He takes that extra touch. Kai Havertz takes that extra touch before he's shooting. I just feel that's confidence for me. And there's a confidence issue running through that team, where I think when Odegaard he takes that extra second, and that makes a big difference. When the first time shots that he used to bury, and there's Kai Havertz. I think you're looking at a player there who's shot of confidence.
Yeah,
I think he takes that extra touch, like that chance he had where he takes it to the left and he narrows his angles down. That's what keepers are trying to do to you. He does it to himself, and I just think overall they're looking like a team in front of goal that are underconfident. But we got a response, and I don't think it's as bad as the sort of media are pointing out. And I thought it was a very different performance to that of the Fulham game. I'll say that, but it did remind me of the West Ham, because the West Ham game we should have buried them in that, and we didn't. And it was very similar. I think had we got the early goal, you mentioned about Reece Nelson going through, and I thought Reece Nelson had a great performance, by the way. I thought it was bright first 20 minutes anyway. But again, I think he's a good option there, and it was good to see him on the pitch. But yeah, in my opinion, the confidence is an issue in front of goal. It's that hesitation that's costing us, and ultimately we were made to pay for the missed chances. Just going sort of through the team, you said about Ramsdale. I think Ramsdale had a better game than I've seen him this season. I think the impact on the defence, it looked a little bit calmer, but I think set pieces is where our elephant in the room is. And I think we have to talk a lot about that, to be honest, because the set pieces were absolutely terrible again. And the fact that we employ someone full time to sort our set pieces out, I like to see what they're doing. But then from what I could see, and where I sit, Johnny, I sit looking at Arteta, there was a lot of angry exchanges between them two. On the side of the pitch. I'm not trying to make rumours or anything like that, but there was a heated exchange between. I don't know if media or TV picked up on that, but there was certainly Arteta was quite animated a lot of the set pieces, and not in a good way. Just very quickly talk about go through the team. I thought the back four right, actually. I think White, Gabriel, Kiwior, were I think Saliba was absolutely fantastic, and I put him at her player of the match, to be honest. But I think they look good. But Luis Diaz was amazing, and I know we're not here to talk about Liverpool players, but I thought he was absolutely fantastic. He absolutely tormented our back four throughout that game, and what I loved about him was how he was moving across the back four, causing issues for each defender, and he treated it like a shepherd's pie. He was basically forking that mash, just like EAMONN would have done earlier on with his shepherd's pie this evening. But he was so I had to get a reference in there, mate. but he was brilliant, and Luis Diaz, and no credit to him, he's one of the better players I've seen at the Emirates this season for the opposition. I thought he was great. Just touch base on what you said about Saka as well. I think Saka, is he tired? Is he something's going on there? It's too predictable, and that's just something that I think that we don't do enough of at Arsenal. I look at, you talk about Martinelli and Saka. I'd just like to see him switch them up now and again, switch sides, just do something different. And it just seems to be, the longer the games go on and the more chance of missing in front of goal, we seem to be forcing it. And then when we forced it, we try too hard, and it doesn't flow. And I think that's what I'm seeing every game. Like, they started off confident, they're moving around ball brilliantly, making these chances, and the more chances we miss, the more they try and force it, the more they try too hard, and it has an impact. And I think, just to end on that sort of point, that what do we do? What do we do in terms of we need to switch things up? Why don't we switch Martinelli, Saka, or just do something different? But we don't, and I think we've become predictable. And I think teams are picking up on that, and that's what I think we're missing. But yeah, but the same with up front position. Why didn't we play Eddie? Why didn't we play Eddie? We're saying Kai's not a forward. We're going to play him left 8, and then we play him up front in a big game like this. That for Eddie, is that going to help his confidence? Not at all, is it? I'm not saying Eddie's the answer, but if you want a striker to have confidence, you pick him when your first choice Jesus is not available, or you don't play your left 8 up front. That says a lot to Eddie, doesn't it? Where he stands in that pecking order. Anyway, I've talked too much. Player of the match, Saliba for me. But yeah, over to the lads.
Yeah, briefly before I come on to Craig and Eamon, Carl, do you think yesterday was crying out for an Ivan Toney type striker? An out and out striker?
I think it just needs something different. We just need something different. I said in the pub before the game, while I was drinking 0 Guinness, because I'm on dry January, just to make that clear for the wife, shouts all over it. But yeah, it's I said in the pub for the game, like, for me personally, it's Tony Arts. I don't think we can afford him, if I'm honest. But I think the team is crying out for something different. I think I joked and I got absolutely hounded for this. I'll probably get hounded in the comments for this as well. But a Giroud type player, what I'd give for Giroud in this team was 6 months. If we could get Giroud on a 6-month loan, go and do it, Mikel, because he is what we want. And he's what we need, because then you people like Saka, Martinelli feed off them. We need someone like that, someone different. That's what I'd like to see. But Kai Havertz isn't that type of player, and he's not a forward. We were trying to play him left 8. He needs to understand what he is. He's a big guy, but in the air he was terrible yesterday.
Too many touches.
Yeah, we just need to. And that's a hesitation thing again, isn't it? So yeah. Do we need a striker? I personally think we do. Can we afford one? I don't think we can. Not at the prices they're talking about for Osman and Tony. And I think we need to buy the right striker. And that's it. So a loan deal for someone like Giroud would be brilliant. I'd love it if we could get someone like that, or that type of player. I think tides us over to the summer, and then we might be able to do something. But I think FFP has a lot to do with this. We're doing it right.
Ozzy, there's that question there on what you said there.
What's that?
Just that's a good question on what you said there about Havertz.
Yeah.
Just, I'm kind of curious about this as well. Havertz isn't a striker, but he's probably not a left 8 either. Is it not wrong that we're talking about a 65 million player and we don't know what his best position is?
Well, that's right. I can't see what he is. Like, I've seen good performances from him this season in left 8. I think against lesser opposition, I think he's all right. But I don't think he knows what I don't know if he's in transition. I don't know what he is. But yesterday showed me he won a target man striker, or am I being unfair because he's only been played there a couple of times this season? I don't know, but it's a good question, mate, and I wish I knew the answer for it. Like, why we spent that money on him? There was lots of people singing 60 million down the drain and not finishing that song off yesterday. But yeah, because it's I just think I don't know what he is. I can't see what he is, and maybe someone can enlighten me with that. But I don't see him as a centre forward. I think we're trying to make him a left 8. Whether that will work or not, who knows? But I can't see it right now.
Yeah, I think when he played up front this year, he has done well in the Charity Shield, and he did well yesterday. But I know he missed an awful lot of chances. But for 65 million, I think a player should know what position he is in that team or squad, and I don't think we know. I don't know if we ever will know though.
Yeah, the signing was questionable in the summer because no Arsenal fans saw that coming, and it was one of those like Nicholas Pepe signings.
There's been glimmers of hope, hasn't there? There's been glimmers of hope with him. He has done some,
I think he's just shot of confidence.
What's that mean?
He was our best player in December.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what we've seen. We've seen glimmers of hope with him.
He was voted by the supporters as the best player in December. So.
But what I'm trying to say, Eamon, is I'm not dissing. I'm saying what we're saying. We've seen glimmers of hope with him, but I still can't work out what his position is or what he brings to that team.
Nobody could work out Granit Xhaka until the coach worked him out.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Exactly. So that's what I mean. Yeah. Do we give him time? I don't know what we do, but we can't keep playing him. What my point is, we can't keep playing him centre forward, left 8, centre forward, left 8, because his confidence is shot. You can tell that in front of goal. Okay. He's panicking. He's taking that extra touch. He's taking that hesitation. He did it 3 times.
He's very good though at leading the press. To be fair to him, you know?
That's
I
suppose the reset button is good for him as well for the next week because we don't play till the 20s. I'll come on to you, Eamon. You were saying in the WhatsApp group it was a cracking FA Cup tie. I can't argue with you there. It was a really good game. What did you make of the performance from ourselves?
Before I do, I want to give a New Year message from the President of Ireland.
Welcome, Michael D.
I want to wish a happy New Year to all of the Irish Gunner podcast. He shall not hear the bittern cry above the shore where he has lain. So there you go. Michael D. Higgins says hello.
Thanks, Michael D, for your comment as always.
Okay, Carl touched on it a few times that it reminded him of the West Ham game. Carl, I was at that game. And once again, I went looking for you and couldn't find you. You're very elusive these days.
Chris spied, Jack. Chris spied.
Yeah. So it didn't remind me of the West Ham game. I thought we were, energetic against West Ham, but the football that we played that night was a bit turgid, I thought, It reminded me of the Brighton game. If you remember the Brighton game, we really got after Brighton. It was like charge of the Light Brigade on the press. We created chances early. We didn't take them. And, we got lucky with a corner in the second half, and that got us on our way. But the first half against Liverpool yesterday was like the first half against Brighton. You said we were looking for a response, and we got one. We were excellent in the first half. We were fizzing around the place. We were playing great combination football. We played them off the park in the first half, right? And it's obvious that the difficulty we're having right now is we're struggling in front of the goal. So if you just do a quick look, Nelson, could he have lobbed him? I think he might have been. I think he might have had to put it too high for it to make its way into the goal, and I think that got in his mind. But I thought where he was poor was when he did go around him. He's got to pull that back. Shasaka is standing at the edge of the box,
Yeah.
So that was one chance missed. You get the Odegaard one where he's got 2 options: pick his spot, or else just roll it to Jorginho, who rolls it into an empty net. And he did neither. He tried to blend the thing. That's a sign of anxiety in front of the goal, right? Then you had the Havertz header. He's got to put that in. You've got the one that Havertz got his hip to, right? He's got to put that in. You've in the second half, Gabriel getting out of the way. I think he got a shout from Saka, and then Saka decides to do, a shank on it, right? So it would not have flattered us if we'd have gone in 3 or 4-1 up at half time. We were that good, right? Liverpool were always going to come back into the game because we let them away with it. But that tie should have been out of sight at halftime. It was really exciting. I was pleased with the response. I was pleased with the effort. But it's obvious that we're struggling in front of goal. And the obvious clamour now is going to be, do we need Ivan Toney? I wouldn't go near Ivan Toney with a barge pole. And I'm saying that again. I would not like my club to spend 70 or 80 million that will put us in jeopardy with financial fair play. Whatever you think about Ivan Toney, he hasn't played in a year, right? And to me, let's stop talking about Ivan Toney. He's not coming to the Arsenal. Forget about it, right? It's Vlahovic material. It's not going to happen, right? In fact, I would be surprised if we do any business in January, other than maybe get somebody on loan for the left side of the defence. And then you say, well, what are we going to do without strikers? And we need to just stand back from it a little bit and say, on Christmas Day, we were the second highest scorers in the division. Right? So it's not that we haven't been able to get goals all season, but there's a psychological thing, and Arteta himself touched on this, The problem has now become psychological. And I'm telling you, the anxiety in the crowd, and I touched on this on last week's show, it's getting to the players. They're snatching at things that they shouldn't be. And I know people say, well, they're professional players. But they've got a human conditioning as well. The same way as the best snooker players miss shots. The same way as, darts players can throw 180s and then 45 in the next one, So there is that. But we had an hour of dominance in the game, right? Against a really, really good team who are in a really good groove at the moment. If you look what they did to Newcastle, they should have beaten them about 14-2. I know they hadn't got Van Dijk and Salah, but they play a modernised version of Jack Charlton football. They just bypass midfield. They get it up to the pitch and they press in a much more sophisticated way. That's not to rubbish them in any way. They do it brilliantly, right? Then you talk about Ramsdale. He didn't do anything wrong. I thought he was terrible. I actually thought he was terrible. I think he picked out Nelson by mistake because he was just hoofing it, right? He never went short at all, which we had Jorginho at the base of the midfield for exactly that reason, to take the ball on the turn. Ramsdale is such a bag of nerves these days. Yeah, I don't think he calmed down the defence. In fact, I think Kiwior puts the ball in his own goal because he's not trusting his goalkeeper.
That could have been Jorginho affecting that, though, couldn't it? As well, the calmness in defence.
What did you make of Ramsdale's position in it?
Well, this is what I'm saying to you. I looked at the highlights again, and I had him called yesterday for 2 set piece errors, but I'm taking one back. The first corner that Jota hit the bar from, I've looked at that again. That's too far for him to risk coming out. Yeah. I thought in real time, your goalkeeper's got to be coming out and claiming that, and he was rooted to the line. I'll give him that one, right? But the goal, if he's moving off his line at all, he's got to come and get that ball, right? Yeah. So the defender, I think Kiwior is kind of thinking the goalkeeper might be here. Oh, he's not there, and he gets caught in no man's land, and he tries to get ahead on it. But by the time he gets ahead on it, his body shape, because he's looking for his goalkeeper, is all wrong. And that ball is only at the post, Jonathan. Like that's a good, like you either stick or twist, and he didn't either. Like if he stays on his line, that ball's not going in, right? Yeah. But he doesn't. He half comes out. Brilliant save, by the way. I'm not down on Ramsdale. I loved his attitude and all that, but like he went long all day because I don't think the defence trusts him anymore.
Sorry, just to come in, sorry. Do you think hand on heart? Do you think Aaron Ramsdale's days at Arsenal are probably finished in the summer? Do you think?
Probably in the summer, yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on. You see, we all keep forgetting. The Estonian lad is really highly rated.
Karl Hein, yeah.
So, I'm just thinking, like, if we're going to make Raya a permanent signing, he's not going to hang on to the two of them.
No. Yeah.
Right? And then the last thing I'd say is, and I'll come back to some of the reaction and stuff later. No. I think we need to cover it because it's having an effect. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
We are in danger of turning that stadium into a toxic atmosphere.
Yeah.
From where it was last season, right? And for the section of Arsenal fans who booed the team off the pitch yesterday, hang your head in absolute shame. Hang your head in shame, right? Now, we're all entitled to our opinions. First of all, I never booed my own team, ever, no matter how bad we were. But second of all, at least try and find the middle ground. If you're going to build them off, let it be for the Fulham type performance. Let it be for something where there was no effort. Let it be for somebody where somebody didn't try a leg. That clearly wasn't the case yesterday, right? And it doesn't happen up north. It doesn't happen up in Liverpool. It doesn't happen, And then you wonder why Anfield's a cauldron, because we are a bunch of naysayers, and we should hang our head in shame.
Eamon, you're wrong there, because Man City were booed last month.
Sorry?
Man City were booed last month.
I don't count Man City. I'm talking about Liverpool. I don't count Man City. Man City's hardcore fans wouldn't do that, right? When they were playing in Main Road, that never happened, right? I don't count them, right? there's more of these new age Man City fans booed off the pitch for yesterday's efforts. Okay, right? Hang your head in shame. And I'll tell you what's going to happen there. And just reminded me in around 2012, 2014. And I brought a guy who lived next door to me in Finglas. He lives in London now, to an Arsenal Blackburn game. And he's a Queen's Park Rangers fan. And it was a 0-0 draw, and we had about 38 efforts on goal, right? And they were booed off the pitch. And what he said to me was, do you know what? It's no wonder teams don't get intimidated here. You're a very unforgiving mob, right? And I just think last season we were on the crest of a wave.
Yeah.
Everybody was connected, blah, 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 right? And it is only a couple of games away from turning toxic. And when that place turns toxic, there's only one winner, and that's the opposition. So I say to all of those Bill boys yesterday, hang your head in shame.
Yeah, I suppose, look, it's 1 win in 7 matches. You know, it isn't great reading for, you know, we're probably a success, you know, from last season.
Jonathan, hold on now. Yeah, well, I get all that. But can I say, I was also there the day Emmanuel Abuyi was booed off the pitch. He was brought on as a sub on the left wing. The left wing.
Let's call it a spade a spade.
Because with nobody else. And what do you think that did to that guy's confidence? So many of those fans think they're doing our players any favours to wake them up, think again, and go back and play FIFA Manager and do all them great things, but get out of the bloody stadium and replace it with people who are going to make it a hostile.
I'll be honest with you before I come on to Craig. I do agree with you, Eamon, you know, with all laughing and all sides. I find booing the team was a bit drastic, you know, after, you know.
I think the crowd was very different there yesterday, Jonathan. I think the crowd.
Can I ask you, Carl, when that booing started, was it from
what I heard was people having a go at the people booing. You don't boo. You know, there was a lot of that. There's some people not staying to, you know, the amount of people staying to clap them off the pitch was definitely reduced. But yesterday there was a different crowd there. Yesterday there was I don't know if the tube strikes had an impact or something, but there was a lot of there wasn't a lot of regulars there in our section, and certainly the regulars that stayed had a go at the Boo Boys. But yeah, that it didn't have.
I want names, Carl.
There's only a couple in my block, but there was a lot of people there we wouldn't normally see. I think I'll be political. I'll say that, but there's a lot of people there. I think who's having their first day out at Arsenal, and they expected a win and didn't get it, and weren't happy with it.
That's a very good Liverpool side as well. It has to be said. You know, like you have to give Liverpool respect. You know, as Arteta pointed out at the end of the match, lads. We were beaten by probably the best informed team in Europe at the moment. You know, like so, missing Salah and Van. Yeah, Craig, you had a bit of a rant on WhatsApp, and as Eamon said, everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Exactly.
What was your take on yesterday's performance, in your view?
Yeah, look, I was very frustrated, but I think the frustration is coming from the last 7 games, to be honest with you. Like Eamon said, it was very like the Brighton game, which it was. I was at the Brighton game. We won 2-0 that day. It could have been 5 or 6-0. The first half in this game, we could have been 3 or 4-0 up. But again, it's, you know, kind of same old story as the Brighton game. Should have won 5 or 6-0, only won 2-0. Then the West Ham game, where I actually do agree with Eamon in that sense. I think we were actually better yesterday than we were against West Ham. The West Ham game, we were having attempts, but, you know, there was no real clear clutch chances. Whereas yesterday, we had a number of them. You know, Havertz could have had a hat-trick. How we didn't score from the, I think it was Reece Nelson, Konate blocked his shot, and then Odegaard, you know, all I had to do was put in the net. Now it's a difficult chance because defenders coming at him. He should have scored that goal, but yeah, it's like it was just I you know, when we didn't score in that first half, I sat there half time and I said Liverpool are going to win this, because we didn't get the yearly goal that would have boosted confidence, would have got the crowd going a bit more, and I knew Liverpool would get 1 or 2 chances in the second half and probably score, which happened. Now look, Kiwior was very unlucky for the goal, unlucky or stupidity, whatever you want to call it. You know, was it his fault? Did Ramsdale give him a shout? Did he kind of, you know, duck out of it because he got a shout? Or did he like Eamon said, did he think Ramsey was coming towards him and he's going to get a clatter? But if you did think that, that's not really good enough because, you know, as a defender, you're meant to get a head in the ball.
Yeah.
You know, I agree with Eamon on the bills. The team shouldn't be billed. You know, it's absolutely terrible that happened. You know, my frustration stems from is that this is the third time in 3 years we went out in the third round of the FA Cup, which is disgraceful for Arsenal because we're so good in this cup. You know, that's 3 times in 3 years we went out in the third round of the FA Cup. Then, you know, Arteta the last, I think, 4 years since we've been, you know, whatever people want to think about the Europa League, whether you should go and win it or not win it, you know, he's went out in the last 32 and the last 16, which again is not good enough. So, you know, like, we're not at the point where we should be throwing these competitions like the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup and that, because I think this squad really needs a cup to go on and kind of win the bigger things, because we're not entitled to win the Premier League or Champions League by no means. But with the amount we've spent this year and the 600 million that Arteta has been given, we should expect the team to finish in the top 2. Not that they have to, or, you know, if they don't, the world going to the end. But the fans should be demanding that, because we have a very good squad, albeit probably not as strong as Liverpool or City's yet. But, you know, I know the lads touched on, do we need a striker, and Eamon said that about Ivan Toney. I'm sorry, lads. Not that I think we should sign Ivan Toney, but I don't agree with the bollocks that, you know, oh, we can't spend, we can't do this, can't do that. Why is Reece Nelson at the club still? Why is Smith Rowe at the club then? Why is Eddie Nketiah at the club? When Eddie Nketiah, you know, I'm sorry, he had 1 touch yesterday when he came on. He played for 12 minutes yesterday.
He's not an impact player anymore.
Now, I know some people are fans of Eddie Nketiah, but I guarantee you now, if you went to Crystal Palace or West Ham, whatever it is next week or the end of the window, I'd say next season he wouldn't have 10 or 12 goals, because he's not good enough. And, you know, it's a bit like Nicholas Bentner a few years ago, who we all thought might be good. He was okay. He scored a goal here and there against Spurs, and he's a bit of a cult hero at Arsenal. He wasn't good enough for us to get to the place we wanted to get. That's why the club moved him on. But I'm sick to death of Arsenal holding on to players because they might come good. It's not good enough. You know, Liverpool.
You're saying Smith Rowe is not good enough?
I don't know, Eamon. At this point, I haven't seen him in 2 years, really. You know,
I'll tell you, Smith Rowe is a €50 million player, £50 million player, and the reason why he's still at the club is, Craig, in January, nobody's going to spend that on him. That's the reason.
I know, but
bad and all as you might think he is, and you know, I don't think he's that bad, but he's at least a 30 million player. Who's going to spend 30 million on him in January? So the financial fair play is a reality, and people say, "Oh, but Chelsea and Man City can do what they want." You know, well, everything did, and look what happened.
I know.
So I know for a fact, right? And this is factual. If we go out and spend in January without getting revenue in, we breach FFP. There's no getting away from that.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you. But the club has to do something out of the norm. I mean, they can't just sit back and say, right, we can't spend on Ivan Toney, let's not do anything. You know, sell the likes of Smith.
I wouldn't spend it on Ivan Toney even if he could afford him.
Well, like you were saying, nobody's going to pay this money for that. So there's interest in Eddie Nketiah. According to rumours, Crystal Palace are willing to pay 30 million for him. And that's pure profit towards FFP. So if the club wanted to get the 30 million in, I think it doubles the amount that they can spend, so they have about 40-50 million to play around with. There has to be strikers or young strikers out there.
So what really good striker are you going to get for 40?
You need a different option to Jesus anyways. So there has to be young strikers out there that are, you know, tall or athletic. So we can't just hang our heads and say Ivan Toney or OZZY or whatever. It looks like your man OZZY's going to go to Chelsea in the summer. The scouting department have to identify these strikers that we can get in cheaply. Now, where do they go?
No, I completely agree, Craig. But that's not going to happen in January. This is the point I'm making. It's not going to happen in January.
So Osman got
the league's over then.
Osman's got
No, like you see, but if you go chasing, you'll end up like doing a Leeds United on it. You can't spend what you don't have, right? And there's a multi-annual budget. that's compliant with FFP. And unless we sell somebody, and people know, if people know we're looking for a striker, they'll offer us less than we're looking for. And that's the way it works, right?
I agree with you. I do agree. It's just like you were saying, Smith Rowe was a great player, and that Arteta isn't using him. Arteta isn't using Nelson. So why keep these players over a year?
He's been unfit for over a year. Arteta has given Smith Rowe guarantees that he would be used more in the second part of the season, right? Otherwise, we just move him on. But all I'm saying is he's a 50 million player. That's how good he is. Right?
I love Smith Rowe, and I think he's
at the moment. And I tell you what, Craig. At the moment, we put Smith Rowe up in the window in January. We get 15 or 20 million for a 50 million player, and then it'll be all, Edu needs to be sacked because he can't get the price for the player.
Well, then if we're not selling Smith Rowe, we need to sell Nelson because again he hasn't been used until.
What do you get for him?
Sorry.
What are you going to get from him?
Well, again, he's an FFP player. Sorry, a homegrown player. So again, if we get 50 million for him, that means 30 million FFP. I think it goes like that.
20 million for him.
It's who we're going to get, isn't it, with that money? Because I was just looking at Osman. His release clause is 130 million euro.
Who?
Osman.
Oh, I don't think we're going to get Osman.
But what I'm saying is you got him, Tony. They're the only two people, and Vahalovic. They're the only three people that you could say would be. Who else is out there?
But Ozzy, can you not see what I'm saying? The club have to be creative in what they're doing. The club can't just say we can't spend FFP. You know, we're going for the league this year, or whatever you want to think we are or not. You know, if we need this striker that everyone's saying we need, be creative, make a sale, and get the striker in. We can't just. I know Eamon is saying Smith Rowe is a great player and he's 50 million player.
You gotta get a bad striker. Is the point we're making, Craig.
You can't just keep Smith Rowe Eamon because he's a great player and he's 50 million. Surely, if you put these players in the market, there'll be a market for them.
What's going to happen? The time to do transfer business is the summer, right? Not January. We got lucky with Trossard last year, right? And you can throw your eyes up to heaven. That's grand.
No, I just disagree.
No, well, that's grand. But I actually paid you the courtesy of listening to you, right? Now, I'm just saying to you, right? It's all very well throwing your eyes up to heaven and saying, look, we're going for the league. We have to get. But you'll be the force now, banging the drum. If we do get penalised points for breach of FFP.
But I'm not saying breach FFP. I'm saying make a sale to get that striker in.
Okay, so you have 30 million quid. What are you going to get?
Yeah, that was my point. Osman. And actually, when you look at it, if we sell Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, and Smith Rowe to buy in Ivan Toney, let's just say Ivan Toney's a choice. That means that we haven't got a bench of yesterday. We have a bench of Real Walters, Souza, Ethan Nwara, Cedric Suarez, El Neni when he's back, and then you've got two other himself. And you know what I mean? What you lose your depth on the bench if you sell those three players. Now I know
Ozzy, he's not using the depth. So why keep these players? Like he's used these.
You'd have nothing to bring on though. Any injuries, you'd have nothing to bring on. Reece Nelson came in and did a job yesterday. First half, I thought he was cracking.
He was good yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday and the game against Brentford in the cup were the only games he started.
Yeah.
So I think we're afraid to lose. Like I touched on earlier on, Liverpool sold Dominic Solanke for 25 million when they were going well a few years ago. They sold Jordan for 20 million. I'm not saying the market is now, or maybe there isn't suitors for these players now. But come the summer, when you take a long hard look at the squad, I think the squad this year has been assembled wrong. I think the sign that Havertz was wrong. We needed a striker more than that. We could have got another midfielder in. Who that is, I don't know. Maybe, James Maddison. I know he's into the last 3 months, but he went for 40 million instead of 65 million. Everyone kind of knew we needed a striker last year. We didn't go get that done. But I just even the Raya deal as well. It's up in the air whether who's better, Raya or Ramsdale. It's pretty close in my opinion. It's 27 million that we could have spent on a striker. So again, I don't know. It's probably part. I seem to recall,
Craig, an absolute meltdown when Man City allegedly put a bid in for Declan Rice, because everybody said that the one player that we needed, absolutely needed, and we needed to make a big statement, was the 100+ million for Declan Rice, and we went out and did that.
Well, yeah.
Then I have people now saying to me last night that we should have bought Harry Kane Like, I mean, Jesus Christ.
That's ridiculous.
Like, this is the type of nonsense you're dealing with. As if it was a game of FIFA Manager. You can just press a few buttons and sign, guys. Yeah. Like, we are, the harsh reality for the Arsenal is, we are ahead. Last season was an aberration. We were actually much further ahead than where we thought we'd be. Right? Our squad was too thin. We could have got lucky if Big Willie hadn't got injured, because I really genuinely think we could have won the bloody title. He was the one player we couldn't lose last season, right? But what's happened now is, because last season was so good against the head, sense of expectation has risen to a level that's not commensurate with the size of our squad.
Yeah.
And the time to do surgery on your squad is the summer.
Yeah.
Unless something like Trossard was a bit of a lucky find in January last year. You know, he was a lucky find, you know, and he's given us back to 20 whatever million, like, you know, in terms of performances. But you generally don't get stuff done in January.
No.
What I will say, Eamon, is I have to lose me try to talk there.
That's like you, Craig.
No,
sorry, I missed that, Craig. What was that?
I lost train of thought there.
Compose yourself. Get back on your feet.
Oh, sorry. I remember now. It's just I think the weight of expectation is because last season was obviously very good up until March, but with a lot of the younger fan base, Eamon and OZZY, what I will say is we haven't seen Arsenal be successful or win the likes of the Premier League. So I think that's where the younger fans are a lot frustrated, and not that we have more entitlement to feel frustrated, but that's where it stems from, I think, because to be honest with you, we've seen us win a few FA Cups, which is brilliant, but for the majority of my 25 years, nearly 30 years supporting Arsenal, we've been crap.
I totally understand that. That's not lost to me, but when Arteta came in, right, it was clear that what he presented to the club was a 5-year plan to put us in the mix to be competitive at the very, very top. And we're 4 years into that 5 years. And we are competitive. We need 1 or 2 more additions. There's absolutely no question about that. I think January is a bad time. I think January would be a reckless time to do something mad, right? Particularly when you're chasing Man City and what they do in the second half of the season. So you could actually burn your own lights out if you're not careful, and you could leave yourself. Right? But what I'm saying to you is, remember, we all want the top 4. That's what we wanted. We got top 4. We're in the knockouts in the Champions League. We're playing Porto in February. We're in the top 4 at the moment. Okay, if we put a couple of wins and somebody slips up, we're back in the mix. It's not all that bad, but I do accept we need to do more business. But this project is ahead of schedule. And I referenced on the show last week, that book that I'm reading.
Revolution.
The Charles Watts Revolution. If you actually look at the mess that Arteta and Edu inherited from the top down to the bottom. And one of the things I was kind of majoring on last night on the podcast, I see Big Al is on now with about 48 messages. Big Al, you're a clown. That's my message to you, right? Anyway, and I hope he hears this, right? And I hope he's twice the size of me, and I'll actually climb up and nut him. Anyway, we don't want to bring violence onto a family show. But the point I'm making is, when I ask people who are having a meltdown about we'll never win that under Arteta, who are you going to replace him with? Right? You at least made an effort, Craig, and said, well, look, I like the look of what De Zerbi's doing at Brighton. He's pulling up trees there, and he is. But so was Graham Potter. And look what happened when he got a big job. He couldn't hack it. It's a risk. I'm not saying it'd be wrong. I'm saying it's a risk. It's way too early to think about changing manager. Way, way, way too early.
But then, Eamon, is it not too, you know, like if just say, for instance, now we finish third and we get knocked out of the Champions League against Porto, you know, should that position not be reviewed in the summer with the expectation and the money we've spent?
No. You see, the money we spent, 600 million over 4 years and 100 million was on Declan Rice. That's only a shoestring compared to what other clubs have spent. He had to burn the house down, Craig. So, I mean, I actually think if anybody is seriously thinking that the manager's position should be up for review this season, I think it's rocks in your head stuff. It really is rocks in your head stuff, right? That can't go on forever. And I'm not an apologist for Mikel Arteta. I find myself disagreeing with many of his team selections, many of his substitutions, some of the type of football we play. But boy, God, he's left us in a far better place than the place he inherited. That's for sure, right? De Zerbi might be great. He might not. It's a risk. But when I flushed out one other guy who actually insulted me by telling me I knew nothing about football, Grant, if that's what he thinks, fair enough. You know, he wants Antonio Conte in, right? Now, I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't let him into the staff canteen. He'd poison everybody. Fair enough, he won a title with Chelsea with a ready-made team. Then he went and poisoned that place. He actually made Spurs even more toxic than they were. You know, and if this is what Arsenal fans think, that is the greatest exhibition of short-termism I've ever heard in my life. Bring Antonio Conte in to manage Arsenal. Seriously now. Anyway, I've said enough. I've said enough. But I do accept Craig. Like, yeah. I was born in 65, and I saw us winning in Dublin in 71. So between 71 and 89, we were nowhere near winning titles.
Yeah,
I know what it's like, you know, and it is like it's a massive frustration. But what needs to happen is that the team needs to hit a reset button, and people need to say, you know what, fuck it, for good or ill, we are going to get behind this team with everything we have between now and the end of the season and see where it takes us. No, you know, if we come out and give Palace a good beating and somebody else draws, things change. You know,
we're only 2 points off the top. You know, like
five.
35. But you know, like the reset. I think the reset's coming at, you know, this bit of a break we're going to get in the next 12 days. It's coming at the right time for us. You know, badly needed. And like as Shearer said there in the podcast I was listening to with Lineker and Richards, he said, but with clubs knowing Arsenal need a striker in January, the price is only going to keep going up and up because they know we're desperate. So, you know, we don't want to be lured into a trap either, you know, overspending and so on that isn't worth the value as well. You know, it was a good point he made there as well. Look, just an overall bad few games, you know, once we get in, it's the depth again, you know, there's not enough quality once we get one or two injuries, and like we're losing Tommy Askew now, aren't we, to the Asian Cup, sadly, you know. But look, as Simon says, you very rarely get anything done in January, you know, because players are involved in different stages of their own campaigns. You know, clubs that are going for titles, they're not going to let their best players go. So, you know, that's the headache of January. Who do you sign? And obviously, with this financial fair play now, every club has to be careful. So,
after everything, you see, the Everton decision has changed everything.
Yeah.
Like they might be afraid of Man City, but they're, you know, because Arab money is pounding up the Premier League and all of that type of thing. But they weren't afraid of Everton, and they clobbered them. You know, it's
I thought it was quite harsh, you know, to make an example of a club. You know, but that's the risk you take, isn't it? You know,
and Nottingham Forest are next. You know?
Yeah.
Big Alice wrote about 20 messages. Aim, did you see that?
That's what I said. Big Al, he's written about 20. That's what I said. Big Al is on fire now tonight. But did you say he's one of the guys that sells the Gooner outside the ground?
Is that right, Johnny?
Yeah, Alexander Leibman. Yeah, if you're listening, yeah, he does.
Did you recruit him to the group?
Yeah.
No, I think.
I want to revisit your recruitment policy.
Do you want me to read a snippet of what he says?
No. Give me a snippet, but Jesus, I mean, I don't know if
just this. So,
Craig, just before you do, I don't know if I have any whiskey in the cupboard.
But Big Al said, I could say that, but personally, very angry. I want Arteta gone. 1 win in 7, now spent an absolute fortune, more than any Arsenal manager. He has had 4 years to build a championship winning team. Not got the mental or tactical mind of a Klopp or a Pep or a Fergie or Mourinho, and loves himself to boot with the public and the women. I want the Spanish prick sacked. Crooks like Cronky or Edu won't do it because they don't want to pay the compensation. Don't think we're good enough to win the Premier League or Champions League. So that's 4 full seasons without a trophy. for a man earning 9 million a calendar year.
Well,
A complete
he won
disgrace,
the
in my
FA
opinion.
Cup, Craig, in 2020. So, you know, you have to say. But
Well,
look, as Eamon said, unless you read the book by
Big
Charles
Al,
Scott,
I'm never buying the Gooner again, pal.
the
I'm
Revolution
going to go
book,
Gooner online, and even though I've represented workers for a quarter of a century in my professional life, I'll make an exception for you.
it's the mess. Eamon pointed it out, though, and if you have read the Revolution book, the 4 years that he's had has been to clean up the mess of previous.
Absolutely.
You know, like
It is a
I've
good
only
read.
started.
It is
I've
a
only
big-
actually started reading it, and I've had a different mindset already of what Arteta walked into. You know, it really is. It is a great book. You know, yeah, it's as Eamon said last Monday. It's stuff that we didn't even know why he walked into it. I don't know, Ozzy, if you read it.
I haven't. No, I'm gonna look for it after this. 'Cause
Yeah, do, Carl. I mean, I thought that I was looking for some dodgy calendar for the mate of mine in Aces, and then all of a sudden,
I saw you
Arteta
getting
was everywhere.
mechanics.
It was like a sports bar, you know, fucking books everywhere. Well, and I picked it up, and I said, you know what? And I started reading it over the Christmas, and
Yeah.
I actually said to myself, I thought I was, no more than yourselves, we're all big gooners. One of the reasons why we get frustrated is because we love the club, right?
Yeah.
But I thought I was well enough versed and long enough around, you know. And I said, fuck me, Pink. The mess that he took. And it was not just at the team, it was everything. Everything from the way things were done at director level all the way, you know. It's shocking. But look, we're in a better place. And if we just got 1 or 2 wins and calm down in front of goal, I think we'd all calm down a little bit. But it is, like, it's you know what? It's heartbreaking. It's not even so frustrating. It's heartbreaking to watch what we watched yesterday. You know.
I'll give you one more laugh on what was said. He thinks that Arteta is as good as John Eustace or Rob Edwards, the Luton manager.
Okay, very good. When we get them in, and maybe Big Al will be pleased. He'll be he'd be having his supporters club meetings in a phone box if there's any left, you know. Good man out. He wouldn't fit in the phone box actually. His head would come out through the top of it. You know.
I think he's drinking too much of that Camden Ale.
The red-headed guy who sells the Gooner. He's about 6'7". Is that him?
I don't know.
You recruited him, Jonathan.
I didn't.
Craig's only had a few points in that game.
Hey, look, I got a few issues of gunplay. I didn't want to inherit this mess.
I tell you, if he ever meets me after what I've said to him, he's actually going to want to have me die on the spot. But I've decided already. I have my moves worked out. I'm getting in early and I'm getting in low.
Aim, I'm looking forward to your response later on to him.
I'm going to use the D11 tactics. I'm using the D11 tactics here, early and low. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, look, yeah, we all look. It is frustrating, you know, and it's from the highs of last season. You know, we didn't expect what we witnessed last season, and just look, we were always going to go through a bad patch, but I think if we get through this, because it's happened in the middle of the season, you know, we can.
Palace is massive, lads. Palace is massive.
Yeah, it's a massive. Yeah.
Massive.
If we lose that game, Eamon, do you think the fans could turn?
No.
You know,
it's possible.
Yeah.
We're such a fickle bunch, you know.
It's a big one, isn't it?
It is. I asked Morrissey from the Smiths what he thought of it, and he reckoned we're not right in the head. Hey. You know, so it's all a bit nuthouse at the moment. But look, all joking aside, Palace is a massive game. There's going to be massive pressure on the team. Hopefully they come back reset, post the victory, calm us all down, and let's see where we can go from there, you know. I think we play Forest away after that then, you know.
We do, 10 days later, because we would have been in the FA Cup fourth round of that weekend, but obviously yesterday that all been ended that, so we've another 10 days before the second, you know, so the recovery.
By the way, just on that note, in case I forget before the show is over, from the supporters club point of view, if you're applying for Chelsea tickets, the game is Paddy's weekend. That's an FA Cup weekend, and Chelsea could still be in it, you know?
Yeah, I forgot about that actually. Yeah, it's a Paddy's week. Yeah, it's mid-March, isn't it? Yeah. Just briefly, Eamon, has there been any word to the supporters club about tickets for Porto or anything for the home game?
Tickets for Porto, that order went in last week.
Right, okay. That's another big one, yeah.
I think if you wanted a ticket for that game, it's doable.
It's doable. Oh, okay.
The home game's been announced as a Cat A game, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
This category, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi,
So.
Roy.
Yeah. I think by the looks of it, briefly, listening to Ivan Toney today, I think he's going to stick around with Brentford till the end of the season. After what they've done for him, you know, they could have just dumped him out, but I think he's going to stay.
He hasn't played in a year, you know. I mean,
it's a gamble.
In talks apparently with Everton for Andre is that his name?
Onana.
Yeah.
Who's in talks?
Arsenal.
Yeah, I saw that today. Yeah.
With a loan obligation, Eamon.
He's a decent player.
He's party.
Yeah,
I think the party injury is a lot worse than people think.
Yeah. I think Neil Egan that listens to the show, being an Everton fan, if you could put a word in over the next 10 days.
White.
He is a good player, isn't he?
Oh, Richie White, is it?
Yeah, Neil Egan's a good one. Yeah.
I'd like Onana to rise in the field. I think they look well.
Oh, absolutely, Craig. Absolutely. You know.
Yeah, it's a big. I think the next 3 weeks it'd be interesting enough to see what type of business we could do. You know, if any. Yeah. Is there anything else, lads, you like mentioned on the show or anything?
Yeah, the KAISER. One of the most elegant footballers ever to grace our beautiful game passed away today.
Yeah.
Franz Beckenbauer. Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm old enough to remember him playing. So he's won. I don't know whether you saw that.
No,
he's one of only 3 people who've won the World Cup as player and manager. So Mario Zagallo died on Saturday.
Yeah, he done the same.
Franz Beckenbauer died today, and Didier Deschamps is shitting himself. So he's the only one left.
Have we got anything from Michael D to wrap up the show?
Yes, indeed. I am the President of Ireland.
No, Michael D he's sleeping away at the moment, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carl, I'm over for the Palace game. You around?
I am indeed.
Okay.
I'll be around.
Okay.
Usual venue.
12:40
Yeah.
kickoff. Nice early one to start it off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm going on the Friday, so
I'll check what time they're open. But get us a table.
I'm going on the Friday. I'll probably meet Chris.
So we're on the Blackstock Road.
Yeah.
It's been a busy show, lads. Plenty covered in this one, I have to say. Really good points made by everyone. And I'd just like to thank Carl Ozzy Osborne for turning up. Thanks very much, pal. Craig Smith, you really composed yourself well tonight. Fair play to you.
Thank you.
And Eamon Donnelly.
It's all love. We all love the Arsenal.
It is, Craig. It's all love. It's all love.
100%.
Eamon Donnelly, I have to say, you steadied the ship really well tonight. No massive meltdowns. Alexander Laidman, are you listening? If you listen to me, everything will be okay.
Everybody listen to me. Everything will be okay.
Forward to your
I think we should
response,
finish the show with a song.
Here we go. Here we go. Radiohead.
I can call you Eamon. Eamon, you can call me out. Big Al.
As always,
lads, if I don't make it back from one of these trips, you'll know Big Al has done a number on me, okay?
As always, thanks to Martin Stumble for editing the show. It'll be up in the next few hours, but next Monday, we'll be having a look over the first half of the season since we're in reset mode, so that should be interesting. So until then, have a good week, lads, and thanks for listening.
Take care.
Pleasure,
See you
lads.
later.
Cheers.
See ya.
Cheers.